Hi, everybody. Great to have you with us. I'm Thomas Robertson for Tamron today. The News Nation following developing news. More protests unfolding across Florida today calling for justice for Trayvon Martin almost 1 month after his death. There's been a massive walkout of students from more than a dozen high schools and middle schools in the Miami area. Now, Miami is where Martin lived with his mother and where he himself was a student. Students from one of the schools, Miami Southridge Senior High School, came together to line up and form the shape of Trayvon's initials on a school football field. You can see it there. In Washington, D.C., people wearing hoodies gathered on the steps of Capitol Hill. Earlier today, President Obama made his first remarks about this case.
My main message is to the parents of Trayvon Martin. You know, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. And, you know, I think they are right to expect that all of us as Americans are going to take this with the seriousness it deserves, and that we're going to get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
NBC correspondent Ron Allen spoke with a representative of Trayvon's parents just after the president's comments. Ron, give us an explanation of how they're reacting. This has to be a big validation for them.
Certainly, as if they needed any. There were 25,000 people here in this town last night validating, supporting them as well. I just spoke to the mayor as well here. He also feels like hopefully this will continue to increase the pressure on the justice system and various venues to really get to the bottom of these things. The mayor continues to say that the city is now an open book, and they seem very open to more investigations. We were just here outside the police station, and the new prosecutors who were appointed by the governor are now holding their first meeting with the police department here to try and begin this nitty-gritty process that's going to take a while. The expectation was that a grand jury was not even going to be convened until April 10th, but every city official I've talked to and everyone else here really wants to move this process along as quickly as possible, but of course being as thorough as possible, because the process itself is under examination, as well as the result, as well as the fact that there has not been an arrest of George Zimmerman now for nearly a month. Thomas?
NBC's Ron Allen in Florida for us. Ron, thanks so much. You know, the Sanford Police Department is accused of making several mistakes in this investigation. Witnesses have come forward with claims that police ignored them, and police have admitted to not noticing George Zimmerman's profanity on those 911 tapes. Joining me now is Walt Zalisco. He's the former chief of police in Oak Hill. That's a town in central Florida, and he's now a private investigator at the Global Investigative Group. Walt, it's good to have you here, and your insights are going to be certainly telling as we take a peek at the facts in all of this, because you've already told the Miami Herald that you've never seen such an incompetent investigation. When you look at the facts of this and what we see in hindsight now over the past 27 days, what makes you confident to say that?
Well, I think there have been a lot of missteps in the investigation. For instance, it was the family's attorney who discovered the phone calls to the girlfriend. The police had that cell phone at the time. They could have checked and see the cell phone log sheets to see who he was talking to. Did they contact the girlfriend? We don't know. Based on the reports, they didn't contact her. Just, you know, that they didn't charge Mr. Zimmerman right away is rather unusual, because Central Florida in particular has a history of charging individuals right away, and they'll leave it up to the judges or a jury to decide guilt or innocence.
George, or excuse me, when we talk, Walt, about George Zimmerman, the self-appointed neighborhood watchman who pulled the trigger here, the police chief has said that they don't have grounds to arrest him because of probable cause. Don't you think, in light of all the things that have come forward now, that they know that they have grounds at least to arrest him, maybe not to go ahead with charging him, but to arrest him and to take him into custody?
Oh, absolutely. And they had the evidence at the time. The fact that they didn't arrest him is really questionable. Why? I mean, we have to look back. Sanford Police Department has had a history of problems with the black community, and maybe that's why they were reluctant on charging George Zimmerman with killing Trayvon. You look at
how
the
would that
evidence
appease the
coming.
Community, though? Don't you think that if they were having a situation where they had lost the community, the African-American community's trust in Sanford, that they would want to do everything they could in their power to restore that, and to do that, that they would actively go after a person that murdered a 17-year-old child?
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I think that the investigation, like I said earlier, it was probably a very shoddy investigation by the investigators. Did they know how to collect evidence properly? Did they know the right questions to ask them? For instance, there's a record that Zimmerman is following this individual, and on a phone call to 911, he claims that the individual is running. And that's when the police tell him, don't follow him, we'll handle it. Well, at some point later, Zimmerman claims that Trayvon approached him in his truck. So you have two different views there. First he's running away, and now he's approaching Mr. Zimmerman. I mean, the police should have picked up on that and questioned him a lot more intensely.
Well, when we talk about the police situation there, just yesterday, the police chief, Bill Lee, announced that he would be temporarily taking a leave, still being paid, though. Do you think that his temporary removal is enough? And how does he go back after this? I mean, a lot of people have been commenting he just wants somebody else to come in and clean up this mess, and then he'll resume his position.
Well, I don't think that his temporary absence is going to help the situation, simply for the fact that the person that they appointed to run the department, the captain, he's the one who had the oversight of the investigation initially. So, you know, it doesn't make sense. You're putting in the captain who had oversight of that investigation in charge of the department now. I don't understand that.
Yeah, still a lot of questions to come out of this one. A lot of people don't understand. Walt Zaliska. Walt, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.